Hi and welcome to our herbal talk. It's me, Carmela from Örtfabriken, together with Agnes from Nordiska Örter. And today we will guide you through how to harvest flowers during this fantastic summer season. And we will guide you through the flower season and let you know what you can harvest, how to harvest, some medicinal properties, and then we will give you one or two or three recipes. Okay, hi Agnes, how are you today?
Hey, I'm very fine today.
Yes, are you excited about this topic?
Yeah, yes, I have been harvesting a lot of flowers recently, so a lot
Yeah,
of inspiration from the nature.
yeah. And your real skills is harvesting and
Yeah,
growing and harvesting herbs, isn't it?
exactly. So for Nordiska Örter, I do crops and forage herbs.
Mm.
So, and then I dry them and process them into herbal tea, like behind me. So it's really like my from May to October is like my main task to be out and gather plants. So I know where to find them, when to find them, and
Excellent, excellent. It's a very skills that we all would need more, and that we maybe will need a lot more also in the future.
mm,
But the topic also with flowers is that it's not only for like the medicinal uses. It's also like flower is some etherical properties, and they fill me with such joy. So I
mm,
think we should all like enjoy them a little bit more.
mm, totally yes.
Yeah. Okay, and I was thinking that you could guide us through the season. I know you started when did you start to pick flowers this season?
It was the beginning of May.
Beginning of May. And what did you start with at that point?
Actually, I started violet,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Yeah.
Viola odorata, but this one they are so small and it's very difficult to find them in big quantities. So
Mm.
I just harvest them for the fun of having the first wildflower. And they are just so good, so sweet. So I have one in the garden, a patch of violet.
Mm.
And so Viola odorata is the one who is the most scent tasty, sweet, very small, very dark purple. So I like to come and pick it up, and it's like a small candy from the nature. And I also pick a few every year to make a saft, but it's really like half a liter saft, so like a syrup.
Yeah.
Um, and that's the first plants and the flower I have picked this year and last year also, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have to make, sometimes people think that they can go and pick the violets in the forest.
Yeah, exact. So the good thing with violets is they are all edible. It's just they are not all having a taste.
Oh,
So
yeah.
often the one in the forest, it's more common, it's bigger, it's higher also, it's more clear purple, but it doesn't have strong taste.
Mhm.
Um,
And not
so
perfume either.
no, no,
Mm.
exactly. Um, and then similar, like in the same family, but they're crops. You have the pensée that people can have in spring, and you can buy in plant schoola, so in nursery, or have on the window, like this spring Easter flower.
Mhm.
Pensée, they also taste good, taste a bit like violet. Yeah.
Yeah, true, true.
Mm.
And but then you moved over to another flower. I followed you on Instagram and I saw that you were harvesting a lot of this type of flower, the yellow one. This,
Yeah.
yeah,
So then you have dandelion flower.
yeah.
So that comes, quickly after. Actually, the first flower of the year are tussilago. So it's also the same. It looks like dandelion flower, but they are a bit earlier, before violet also, and you can't really take them in big quantity because they have alkaloid inside them that can be toxic for the liver.
Yeah.
So the dandelion flower arrive a bit after tussilago. Sometimes they overlap, but that's the first I really harvest in big quantity. And to harvest it, I use like this blueberry picker. And
Smart.
if you are in the field with a lot of dandelion, you can just
Wow,
grab
that's
them.
being efficient.
Yeah. So this year what I did with it's I wanted to make a lot of soft
Soft or like this
syrup.
beverage. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's often you put the flour, some lemon, and some hot water, and you leave it infuse for 24 hours. And then you strain and you add sugar according to your taste. So if you want, for me, I don't want too much sugar, but if I don't put enough sugar, I can't keep the drink on ambient temperature all year round because it will spoil. So then I freeze it. But if you put as much sugar than you have liquid and you cook it together, then you get a syrup. And this you can leave it at room temperature all year around of the syrup dandelion flower.
Nice.
And I have seen many people when they harvest dandelion, they harvest the flower, the whole flower, but then at home they really separate all the petal from the green heart. And there is two reasons for doing that. The main reason is because you want to remove the bitterness from the green part of the flower of dandelion, which is a very bitter plant. So many people do separate it, which is very time-taking to really keep only the aromatic and sweet part of the dandelion flower. But I prefer, with everything I do, I always use the whole plant. So not the whole part of the plant. So in that case, the whole flower head. So I also put the green part, like the whole flower for myself, which make it a little bit more bitter, which is also nice in terms of medicinal properties to have those bitterness, especially in spring for cleansing. And you just need to add a little more lemon juice and it can kind of balance the bitterness. So, and it saves time to just leave the whole flower.
For sure. And Agnes, one question.
Yeah.
Also, like the stem of the dandelion has, then you avoid that because that carries a lot of white
latex,
liquid.
Yeah, liquid. Yeah. So I just take the top of the flower, just under the calyx, so the receptacle. Yeah. So yeah, just the whole flower head, just pick. And then also with dandelion, which is also great to do, it's infused oil. And in that case, also the whole flower is used, and because actually mostly of the healing properties for helping the skin, for example, to close, it's present in the green part. All this latex and resins, the sticky. We want this. It's all this sticky compound. If you harvest a lot of dandelion, your hand gets sticky, and it's this sticky compound that are very good for the skin that can help to soothe a red skin and yeah.
Fantastic. And when you do this oil, do you do it like a cold infusion or a hot infusion?
I do always cold infusion.
Cold.
So yeah. So dandelion flower, and we can speak also about the same technique with calendula flower. It's the same. What I'm speaking with dandelion flower, the same goes for calendula flower. So the whole head to really have all these resins you are looking for the skin. And then using them semi-fresh, because when they are dried, they lose the part of their properties that are beneficial for the skin. But if they are too fresh, you can spoil the oil by getting too much water into the oil. So you just harvest them, you leave them 1 or 2 days on the counter, somewhere protected from the light, just on the paper, just to eliminate the most of water from it without getting it too dry, and then you can make the oil. So what I do, I pour my dandelion or calendula flower into a food processor, like I put them into and I cover with oil, often rapeseed oil, organic or organic olive oil, and I blend it all.
Ah, nice.
So blending really helps to extract the most of the plant. Then I pour all this mixture into a glass jar that I leave on the counter for 2 weeks.
And you try to fill the jar up, or it doesn't matter that much?
I always try to make sure everything is under the oil, but not too much oil on the top. And also when you blend, everything gets wet, and often everything kind of sink down. So you always end up with 5 millimeter, maybe top oil, maybe 1 centimeter maximum, but I never do more. It's allowed to have a very concentrated oil, potent one. And when I make, especially with calendula, but also with dandelion, it's just a bit more yellow, and calendula a bit more orange. When I make salve cream, they are really colorful. Like I can turn the green olive oil into orange with this technique. So it really shows that it's a good way of extracting plant compounds.
Yeah, by the color you can see that the process is working really.
Yeah. So often there is so much on Instagram that you see how people do their herbal oils and salve and creams, and when I see a cream of calendula which is white, for me it's like this has been not enough infused. I'm really
not enough material, not enough flowers or So always go use your intuition, look at it. How is it looking? If the flower has a perfume, then you want to have your oil, you want to smell it and feel it.
Yes.
And Agnes, you said that dandelion, of course, is the detox plant. Yeah. Would you say something more about the properties?
The flower is not the main use of the flower. I think the flower is mostly for the skins and all these kind of drinks you can make with it. And but for the cleansing properties, it's mostly the leaves and the roots. We harvest the root in early spring or at fall when the plant is not in flower, because it's where the root will be the most concentrated in carbohydrates, so in sugars. So the sugars are not on the top of the plant making the flower for reproduction. Especially in fall, all the energy go back to the root. So it's traditionally harvested in the fall. And the root, it's the one who will be mostly used as a cleansing of the liver. So it will help also with digestion. So it's a bitter plant. And you probably know about that. So it will help taken before the meal, like a dandelion cafe, for example. It's the root with the root will really promote the digestion, promote the secretion of the digestive liquids. So that is much better when you start eating and all these liquids and enzymes are ready. That is much better used also of the food. And then it has also some properties of helping the liver to detoxify the blood and the body.
Yeah, it's a fantastic, and I think it's so like interesting how nature does it. Like all these detoxing plants come in the spring.
Yeah.
When we all need to like rejuvenate and like get out of the old and embrace the new season.
Yeah. So one common point with dandelion leaves, nettles, and all these greens, often they are very rich in, especially in spring, at the beginning of spring, when you harvest them later in the season less, but they are rich in minerals. They are rich in vitamins, like vitamin C, and they are rich also in potassium. And so all these vitamins come into a time where we end winter and we kind of miss these vitamins, and they arrive and they are very nutrient rich. And in the same time, so they bring a lot of nutrient when we need it. And in the same time, all of them, they have all these kind of mint and bitter properties that will help the body to clean out and detoxify the body from heavy food of winter. And I say potassium because potassium will have an effect mostly diuretic. So it make this plant make you pee more also, which is another cleansing way. It's more cleansing of the liver. I will associate it with a cleaning, a detoxification of the blood, while the peeing and kidney will be more detoxification of first the kidney and also the water content in the body.
True. And moving on through our odyssey through the flowers, now you have to choose one to dig a little bit deeper in, because we will, when you move through the season, then of course lilac is coming. We have linden flower. We have
also
elderberry flowers. And then, of course, already the roses are starting to in Sweden. Yeah. And if you choose one of these to dig deeper into, which one would you choose?
This year, I would choose a rose.
Roses, good choice. My favorite. So how do you harvest roses, Agnes?
So now we are in the season for rose in Sweden, but roses, they start now to bloom, but they will also bloom a bit along the growing season. Like when you remove them, they come back. But this year has been crazy harvesting a lot of rose compared to what I usually do. And this is what we talked about earlier, like compared to greens, plant that you can forage or use, this flower, they have something, they are beautiful. They bring some spirituality or beauty, which rose is doing for me at the moment.
Yeah.
So each time I am this year harvesting rose, so to start, so we harvest them now. So June, it's a good time. And how? Here again, you have two possibilities: only to take the petals or to take the whole head. I do take the whole head as Angela and as dandelion. May depends of the variety. Some it can be very big heads. In that case, I take only the petals. But the one with a lot of petals, and I just take the whole head. All the variety can be used because there's so much cultivated rose, and so much shape, so much odors. I always say, as long as it smells, as long as it has scent, it can be used. No matter the color, white or orange or pink, rose, red, they are all usable.
Yeah, as
So
long as they have the scent.
the scent,
Yes.
yes. And then they are best used fresh because, but I also dry them, but they lose part of their scent dry. And the best is fresh. And I think the best of the best is to have a distillator to be able to get the essential oil, but also the hydrolat, so the rose water, a clean, nice rose water. I think that's the best way.
Yeah.
But I don't have. So I do an oil. And for rose, it's better to do warm infused oil a bit, slide in double boiler, not too warm, just because you want to do it fresh, with fresh petals to really get the scent. And I did also rose water, but more in an infusion form with the fresh petals. So just having boiled water over the fresh petals.
You boil water and then you let the hot water, the petals steep in the hot water.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I took this water out, and when it has infused, and then I have freeze it in very small quantity. So when I want to make my face cream, I can use this little infusion of rose I have made with the fresh rose.
Nice. And yeah, I agree with what you say. Like roses are, I think like I have been discovering the beauty of flowers, like with each season, like maybe not putting so much attention to it, maybe first going to like more the heavy plants, like that can detox you, can give you this effect. But then when you start to like feel the roses, for example, I become totally intoxicated, and then you become almost obsessed by having them, by smelling them, and like understanding it. And I have maybe more, I have not collected the whole buds, the whole flower buds, more like petal by petal, but just making very small portions of my herbal preparations. And with roses, I have used a lot of glycerin, and glycerin is an extract, and I have used like the vegetable extract, and it's very, very sweet and thick. So it goes well together. And glycerin, of course, we know that it's used a lot in like skin preparations. And when I remember, like I picked pink rose petals with the most like delicious fragrance, and then I made this like a tincture, like an extract using glycerin, 75% of glycerin and 25% of water, I think it was. Yeah, mixing it, and then I put a full jar, and always like boiling the jar beforehand to make it like super clean, so you don't have anything growing in that. And then you fill it up with petals, and then with this glycerin and water mixture. And then I don't remember, I have a recipe in Örtfabriken's blog, but then I kept this little jar with like pink liquid in the in the refrigerator. So then you can eat it, and like maybe put a little bit on your ice cream, which is on vanilla ice cream with some like pink glycerin. It's fantastic with this fragrance. And then I used it also for like directly on my skin, or to make some other like skin products. And I think that's the thing that you really want. Like you want to keep the roses with you as long as you can. But I'm also like quite intrigued by roses because they are so complex. They have this fantastic fragrance, but they are very, very bitter. Like the taste is like, is it bitter? It's like, it's a potent medicine. So I always get a bit shocked when you like the complexity of roses. And would you maybe say something about the medicinal properties?
Yeah, I don't have this experience with rose, but so I think it has a lot of traditional use. Rose is not the plant I know the best, but it's definitely one I want to learn more
Yeah.
of. It's a plant that has been, so of course, used, as you said, for the skin as cosmetic, also for aging skin. I do a cream where I mix rose and rosemary together, and anti-age cream. It works. I really like the mix of the both. It's also used for menstruation, and it's also used for the hurt. So it's
heart opening, maybe.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That I was like associated with like a citron meliss in the same way, or motherwort, who also have kind of this heart opening or grief plant.
Yeah.
This year I have felt like when I harvested roses, I I really felt something happening in me, and I was sharing it on Instagram. I was saying, this year I just don't get enough of rose, and I have to every morning. Now they are a bit past, but I just go outside and I take my basket and I bring back a basket of rose that I was using. And just I had every flower I harvest, I had to smell it, and when I smell it, it's like it kind of crossed through the body and the heart, and I felt so peace, so grounded, so feminine too. And this is something I have not experienced before. And then one of my follower, I know her, she also studied herbs. She said, yes, rose, it's normal. That's the rose effect. That's the rose heart opener effect.
Yeah.
So she was mentioning that. Yeah.
And Agnes, I used the wrong word. It's not that roses are bitter; they are astringent.
Yeah, astringent. Yeah.
Astringent. So you get this like putting them in your mouth, astringent ingredient, then the mouth will like this.
Yes.
It's not pleasant. You're not getting this wow, the same. It's not the fragrance that you're getting in your. It's a different experience.
Yeah.
All right. So going further into the summer, we have another great herb, Agnes, that many people love to harvest, meadowsweet.
Yeah, exactly. Especially here in Sweden. So meadowsweet arrive late June, usually, and continues on in July to be in bloom. It's a plant who we found very often in moist soil, close to rivers, or in meadow, of course, as the name say, close to ditch. It can be also so where the soil is wet, and it's grow quite tall, and it make very nice and very fragrant white kind of fluffy flower. Yeah, and yeah, it's very common here in Sweden. And when I go to harvest it, yeah, I pick up only the whole like flower head here again. And it's a plant I'm using for some herbal tea. So I dry it. But as many flowers, the drying process is very sensitive. It's not as easy as nettles, for example, who are very kind of resistant, not fragrant herb. So, but flowers, including meadowsweet or even elderflower, also a bit similar. They are hard. If you really want to keep this color, like this natural color, they should be dried very quickly to not have the time to brownish, so to oxidize. And then if you want to keep the fragrance, you should not have hot temperature. And also hot temperature will also make it become brownish. So where we see the difficulty, it needs to be short time, but not hot temperature. So it need so I often do 35-degree and very ventilated place for 24 hours. Like it is the best way to keep it. And then when it's dry, I use it in one of my herbal tea, which is a very, very common traditional recipe of tea for fever. So it's a mix between it. Oh no, actually, I think it's elderflower I use in that one. It's not meadowsweet, but because also meadowsweet can be used for fever, fever release. So yeah. What do you want me to start with?
I also like when I think of meadowsweet, I connect it a bit with elderflower in my head, and I use it like a lot. Like it's a herb that I think about when I get sick. But I have had some problems with the taste and with the perfume a bit. It's not it's not very pleasant for me, but I know many people love it. I have many friends who have it like a perfect, like it's their number one herb actually.
Yes, I had this experience with making a saft. Very like lot of so here again syrup in English. So in Sweden there's a lot of people doing saft and also with this meadowsweet. And I did it and no, what is not for me. And I think what you mention is actually this tannin is very astringent, so more than rose. So it's really, it shrink the blood kind of. If you, or he will shrink. It's also given his property to kind of shrink the tissue, and because of this astringent and tannin presence, and also when we smell meadowsweet, we also smell the salicylic acid. And this is also the reason why this plant was used at the beginning to extract the acetyl by the pharmaceutical industry. So the aspirin, who was created from that plant originally because it contained plenty of salicylate. So, and
which is a bit, pain relieving.
Pain relieving, fever relieving. So it's also properties we found in the plant.
Yeah.
It has also all is aromatic volatile that will be used as digestive herbs. It has also a lot of anti-inflammatory compounds such as phenolic and flavonoid compound, and this often combined with this astringency and the tannin will be used for anti-inflammatory properties, for inflammation, like if you make a tea with a meadowsweet flower and leave it cool and then apply it on a place where you have, for example, sunburn, it can help to cool, for example.
Yeah. And for me, meadowsweet is not my, as I said, like maybe a little bit of how the fragrance affects me. It's not my go-to herb, but I made a fantastic tincture, a mixture with 50-50 between meadowsweet and yarrow, and you will make I would assume. So I made this tincture, and that's like something when it's very calming for the system. And I have it like always on my desk, or then I suddenly find it in my bag. So it's something that I usually like bring with me. It's like calming the organism. So it's mainly like if the stomach is a bit, something is not feeling really right, then somehow this is my
Go-to.
tincture that I use. Yeah.
Yeah. For headache, I think also in tincture it's used to
Yeah.
help.
Yeah. It's not a strong pain reliever, but it really,
No.
really helps with this. Like if it's you have like pain in your body somehow, like it soothe it a bit.
Yeah, when I'm sick with like fever, like that's also what I like. It really, really helped. I had during COVID, I had like fever, like everyone or maybe many people, and I had used it because I think it was the last time I had fever, so it was some years ago. I'm not sick often, so that's why I think it was, yeah. And I have used the infusion. I had yarrow and I had meadow sweet, yes.
Nice.
And also, so a bit similar than the blend I wanted to talk about. It's actually a mix with yarrow flower, elder flower, and peppermint. And this is like very traditional fever relief tea. And I make it every year, and I have it in like my herb cabinet. And it works also too. It's tastier than meadow sweet, to my opinion.
Yeah. And it's okay. Let's walk a little bit further into the summer. And
Yeah.
then we have a very super flower or plant to harvest that comes 2 times during the season, the yarrow.
Yeah.
What do you always harvest yarrow?
Yeah, there is herbs like that who come back every year. Yeah, almost all of them actually. so because I try to, when I harvest plant, I try to harvest only for 1 year. Because with the time, especially if you keep it like in glass jar, like me, who are transparent, just for the beauty, rather than some closed container, they take the light, they take the air each time you open the package, and so they get less and less potent more the time goes. So I try to renew every year as much as possible. And the yarrow is also one of the plants I sell a lot, or among the best, with Nordiska Örter. So, and I harvest both the leaves and the flower and mix both into the herbal tea. And this, as soon as it starts to bloom, it stays very, very long time along winter, along summer. So the harvesting time is quite large. For yarrow, it's a plant from the Asteraceae family, so like dandelion, like calendula. So we found also some common properties with that for the skin, like the resins. Yarrow, it's a good skin healing herbs, tissue healing herbs. It has also a lot of anti-inflammatory compound, also used for fever. And this, this is more the aromatic compound present in the flower that will really help to release the fever, the heat from the body. It has so much use. Yarrow, it's already also commonly used for closing wounds and stopping the bleeding. So the Latin name of yarrow is Achille millefolium, and Achille, it's for Achille during the War of Troy by the Greek mythology. And so it's a plant that Achille was using during the War of Troy to help to heal soldiers' wound. So the mythology said. So that's why it has this name, Achille millefolium. It has
yes.
Yeah, so it's very, very nice flower. I'm pretty sure I forgot some properties, digestive properties for the menstruation also, because it's so many use.
Yeah,
from it.
it's like the all-purpose herb, the herb to go to when you don't know what to use.
Yeah.
And it's a bit, it's not something that you pick easily with your hand. So you
No,
need a little scissor, or how do you harvest?
yeah, exactly. Because if you if you want to just take the flower head and pull, you often pull out the plant. Like
Mm.
so yeah, I often take a secateur or a scissor.
Mm.
So last year and this year, I'm gonna gather them in the wild for the tea, but from next year, because we got delay with the production this year. So from next year, I mean, I will grow it
Mm.
just to be able to access to greater quantities of yarrow.
Sounds good.
Mm-mm.
And what I wanted to ask, yeah, it's you mentioned how important it is to, like, some flowers are more difficult to dry than others, and you have to be careful, like how to maintain the properties and how not to ruin it during the drying process. And
Mm.
where do you actually dry your plants in your house? Where would you dry the meadowsweet or the yarrow?
So yarrow is quite a dry plant by itself, so that's kind of one of the easy flower. But for me, I have an electric heater that I can set a very low temperature for a long time. So my go-to program for most of the plant, it's 35 degree, 24 hour.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
sometimes I can be,
sorry,
sorry,
is your drying stove, is it like,
it's like an oven, kinda,
yeah?
or a microwave. It's a bit bigger than a microwave. And then the air blow from all the side, like
Hmm.
so if instead of blowing from down to up, it blow from the side and everywhere. So it's homogeneous heat everywhere. Because when you have the one from down to up, often down is very hot and upper it's less. So but having this blowing wind, warm wind everywhere, it's more homogeneous. So I will use this one for smaller quantity, mostly for flower who are sensitive and aromatic plants. But like citron melis is sensitive. Catnip, not as much, but citron melis is very sensitive plant. If you want to keep it green when it's dry and scent, so fragrant, you really need also. I also pass by the electric dryer, and then for more steady plants and huge quantity, I have now a wooden rack. So it's a rack in wood, and then there is like a very thin
Net.
metallic net, and I just put them there. And for now, they are on the roof, so it's hot. I found it problematic because when the night comes, I find it too cold because we reach 20 degree, and during the day, the 35 that I'm looking for. So I'm planning to add a electric heater with like a temperature, sensor. So in winter, I can keep the 35 degree. And in this case, it will be rather similar program than with my electric dryer. And that's really good because once you have that, in 1 to 2 days, most of the plant are dried.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, if you like, the art of drying is really like, it's really an art. And if you don't have like these devices, like the
No.
oven or anything, then it's like, it's always to think like a ventilated place, a dark
Yeah,
place, so it's not hit by sunshine. And then you
exactly.
can like put them up in the roof, you say, herbs in the roof, and there are
Yeah.
many different ways. And sometimes I'm just lazy and I put them on a newspaper and
Yes.
let them dry like that.
So what I have done also in the past, so definitely have them hanging.
Yeah.
For very steady plant, nettles, yarrow, it can work. If not, I have like, this compost bag, and I was putting them inside just to protect them from the light, but only one layer by bag. So, and so as a paper bag, it will like kind of take the moisture out. And I was putting this close to heat source. So either electric heater, either a window which is warm, or above it can be also above the machines, like electric machines, like a fridge, or because it's hot there, or it can be. But the fact that it's protected and inside the bag, it protects from the light. And that was the way I was doing it. It took a little bit longer, but it worked. So.
Excellent. Okay, let's go deeper into the summer. Now we're almost at the end of the summer. We mentioned a bit of calendula, and then we go to one super beautiful flower, how do we pronounce it in English?
I say echinacea.
Echinacea, and in Swedish, echinacea. And so this is a struggle for me, but let's hear how you harvest and how you enjoy this beautiful flower.
Yeah, it's like a very photogenic flower.
Oh, super gorgeous.
Yeah, it's quite tall. You can have several colors, but usually it's a purple one. So in Swedish, it's solhatt. It's commonly found. You can buy it commonly in a nursery, in like a herb plant shops. So there is several species of that plant. It's originally this genus Echinacea flower are originally from United States, and there is a lot of species, and many also of them are now endangered because of harvesting, but also mostly also losing the native flower in United States and meadows, and often due to like cultivation, crops, and towns expansion. Overtreat, it is also the invasion of some invasive species who take the space. So there is kind of three or two who come to my mind that can be grown medicinally. Purpurea, Echinacea purpurea. This is the one you find everywhere. And there is also, I think it's Echinacea angustifolia and Echinacea longifolia, I think. And I have found longifolia also in a plant shop. But the most common is purpurea, and all of them are beautiful anyway.
Yeah.
And all of them are similar properties. It's just that some roots are bigger. I think for longifolia, roots are bigger than purpurea. So, and longifolia, I think it's more like a main root, and purpurea, it's more like plenty of roots. And it's a plant. So why I mentioned the root is because traditionally the roots that are used and harvested to make like their immune boosting plants. So immune boosting properties, also some antiviral properties we found. But because if you harvest the root, you don't have the flower anymore.
Yeah.
So I do harvest the flower part, the flower head, and not the roots, because I just want them to come back every year. But the flower head, luckily, also have these properties. Don't have exactly all the same chemistry, but we find also these properties. And personally, every year I harvest a flower, and then straight from it, I make a tincture. So I infuse it, I chop it, and then infuse it in alcohol. Often at the same moment, bloom also calendula. So I like to add calendula just for the beauty of it.
You
and
mix
also
them in the same.
I put in the glass jar both flower. And the calendula will have this also antiviral, anti-inflammatory properties. They will bring more this immune boosting antiviral properties. So I always do them every year. I put them together. I fill it with, I just cover with alcohol and leave it on the counter again for 2 weeks. So blend everything to really extract the most. And that will be my go-to tincture. Like this one I do every year. And as soon as I have a bit of pain in my throat, a flu starting, I always take it. Like I take a milliliter regularly during the day. And no problem.
And sorry, just to understand the details, did you blend it very well? Do you chop it, or do you also do this in the food processor?
You can do both. It depends of my mood, but I like to pass in the food processor.
Food processor, yeah, yeah. And then, of course, sometimes you can get so caught up about the beauty, so I cannot chop it too much because I want to see like the purple pink of the echinacea and then the yellow of the calendula. It's
So yeah, it's nice. And I also have in the past juiced echinacea. The flower heart is very kind of meaty. It's quite nice, and I juice it, and then but it's more like if you are sick in summer and the echinacea outside, instead of taking the tincture, you can just juice it and take a shot. That's the same properties.
wow.
The immune boosting, it will. So what echinacea is great to use on the like short time for acute, but not for long time and chronic, because it has really immune boosting properties.
Yeah.
But as soon as you get sick or you feel like you may get sick, take it it's really, really help.
Yeah. And echinacea has also another superpower that maybe why it's also so good for immunity. It's moving your lymphatic system. So I think it will also like be used now that we are becoming more and more aware of our lymphatic system. Then we will also understand echinacea more and more.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And I must tell you, I only grow in very, very small portions, like in pots and wherever I can. And also, as I've been traveling a bit, I have to be a bit restricted. But this year, I'm finally, after 4 years, I'm starting to get a beautiful echinacea plant. So if it will survive the summer, if it's not too hot, then I might be able to have a flower or two this year.
Nice. Maybe you don't want to harvest them then.
No, I will just worship them.
Yeah, echinacea, it's really a difficult herb to grow, like to get germination from.
Aha, thank you for saying that, because everybody says it's so easy, but I've really been like, some plants are so easy, and for me, echinacea is not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have the same issue. But it need this winterization, like so it need cold time, and yeah, it's cold moist, so have it in the fridge and then the freezer before you sow it help. Or sow it in autumn, and then hopefully the winter will make it germinate.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, but I found it difficult.
Yeah. And for all of you, of course, who maybe haven't grown it at home, you will probably find the flower in a garden or two. So ask, like, can I harvest a little bit, and then you can make your own tincture.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Agnes, it was wonderful. I hope we inspired you to like enjoy the flowers a little bit more and like how to keep them during your winter time. And for Örtfabriken's sake, we have a very vast blog with a lot of recipes that you can also like get even more inspired by after this talk. And Agnes, where can we find you?
We find me on Instagram at Nordiska Örter. And then all the herbs I grow and forage for herbal tea can be found on Etsy.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody enjoy your summer and keep following us here on Herbal Talks. Bye.
Bye bye.